Welcome back, you guys. So today we're going to talk about this project, and it's a little bit different than what I normally receive. So I had to run a couple errands. I came home, noticed there was a box on my front door from Hawaii, and I was like, I have no idea what this is. Like, this box is this big. Like, I don't remember ordering anything. Now sometimes I'll order something and maybe 2 or 3 weeks later it'll ship, or something might come in from Amazon or something like that, and I don't know where it's coming from. I had no idea what it was because it was coming from Hawaii, and usually I just don't get a whole lot of packages from outside of, you know, the contiguous 48. So with that being said, I was like, yeah, let's open it up, let's see what's going on here. So I went ahead and sliced open the one side, sliced open the other, and I kind of peeled it back, and I was like, what is in here? And I started seeing that there was food and stuff in here, and I was like, what is this? At this time, I still didn't know what it was. So the idea here is I want to kind of show you a little bit more about what arrived, and I thought it was pretty cool. And if you send me something like this, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a video, especially if it comes from, you know, where you live or whatever. I don't get out, I don't travel a whole lot, so with that being said, it definitely was a cool thing. So the individual that I had been dealing with is obviously lives in Hawaii, and they sent me a slide, and it was funny because as I was opening this package, the slide was actually the last thing I found. So I didn't have any idea what this was. I just opened it up and it was like a box of very cool items, and I was just like, where did this come from? And then I found the slide. So this customer of mine ended up sending me all kinds of cool stuff from Hawaii. So this is all stuff that comes from Hawaii. We got some coffee, we have some cappuccino stuff. Very, very cool. We have limited space on this desk, so I'm gonna move this stuff off to the side. We ended up getting some other stuff here. Once I opened this, my kids found this and they were just totally like, can I eat that? And I was like, no, let me do the video and then you guys can have this stuff. So very cool, very thoughtful overall. I mean, this is pretty cool stuff. I mean, this is obviously all from Hawaii. This is stuff that I have never seen and or would have ever acquired here. So very, very interesting overall. Guys, these are the customers I like to work with. I mean, I like to work with all you guys, but the people that reach out to me that are after the personalization of their firearms, you know, and they have character themselves, that's always an added bonus. It's always a plus. You know, thank you to this individual for sending me this stuff. This is very thoughtful, very cool, and you know, it just means a lot because, you know, like I said, I don't get out. I don't get to travel like you guys do. You know, some people travel all the time. So if you send me something and there's something cool where you live, and you're just like, hey, I really want you to see this. I mean, it doesn't even have to be anything, you know, expensive. It just has to be something cool that, like, you maybe only can acquire there, you know? Send it. Send it with your slide. I'll put it in the video. So at the end of the day, they ended up sending me a what would be a Brownells, or sometimes these are just sold as like a Alpha Wolf slide. It's obviously it's a 19 with a barrel. So we have a quite big project that we're going to be doing on this. It's a fairly large patterned project, and we have some cool things that are specific to the island of Hawaii. So we're going to be doing some logos and some things like that are going to be on this slide that are going to be matching kind of the area of where this individual lives. So that's definitely going to be cool. So let me go ahead and clear this off here a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys back. We're going to talk about the slide a little bit more. We're going to go ahead and move on with the project. But definitely want to share that with you guys. This is the first time anyone's actually ever sent me additional stuff inside of the box with their content that we're going to be working on. So I definitely wanted to share that with you guys. I thought it was something that you guys would want to see. And it was definitely a huge surprise to me. Alright guys, let's discuss this slide in further detail just so you have a better understanding of exactly the work that we are performing as it unfolds. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a factory chamfer all the way around this. Now this is going to be new to me, so basically we're going to be looking for that rounded edge that you would receive on your factory Glock slide. So with the aftermarket slides, they're really nice. They're blank canvas slides. They look really cool. However, a lot of them end up coming with what would be a very small chamfer on them just to kind of take that sharp edge off. And they can hang and hook on things, like especially on the front, like you're going to a holster or something, you'll end up catching this on something because it's just so square and pointy. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to round all of these off, back 3, front 3, the long 2 top sides. So that's definitely going to be new to me and new to you guys because I usually don't do the factory style chamfering because it's very popular. It already comes from the factory. So most people end up giving me a slide and they're like, square it, because it's already rounded. So we're doing that kind of in a little bit of a reverse order there. So that's one of the first things that we're going to be doing. After that, we're going to end up doing an optic cut on the rear and then a new dovetail in the front. So we're going to go ahead and wipe that off. We'll go ahead and put a new one on here. Okay, so that's going to take place there. We're going to end up running some raptor cuts on the front section here. And then we're going to end up doing some rear grip serrations back here. And last but not least, we're going to add some color to it. We're going to take a look and see exactly how it came out. Now, that's not the only thing we're going to be doing. We're also going to be doing some logos on the barrel. So we end up having a logo that's going to go here and a logo that's going to go here that's somewhat specific to the location of the individual. So that's going to be pretty cool as well. So guys, let's get over to the Tormach 770. Let's go ahead and get this top section all rounded up and through here. Then we're going to go ahead and do our optic cut, our dovetail cut, and then our raptor cuts. And then from that point forward, we'll move on to the sides.
Alright guys, well that is pretty much the end of the CNC work. We got to bring it over, do some laser work. At the beginning of the video we talked about lasering the barrel. We are still going to do that. However, one of the logos is going to end up going over here. We happen to have a lot of free space on the left hand side. That's not why I brought this back to you just yet. I've got a lot of hand work I've got to do on this, get a lot of this lapped. You can see at the front, I've already started. It's really nice and blended. We've got a nice curvature here, blended right into the side. But what has my interest peaked here, and I'm going to bring it up a little closer, is this point at the very edge of these two. So it's a really interesting design overall. This is the first one of these that I've had to actually cut rounded corners on. Usually people are after those tapered corners and not after the rounded corners. But with that being said, it has created this point, almost like a I don't know, like a barb or like a jagged point here. I'll be taking that off of this and blending all these 3 points together so it looks normal. But at the end of the day, it has really piqued my interest in the way in which those 3 angles have blended themselves together. I think in the future you'll probably end up seeing this design on something else. I really like the Cobra nose, but what I'm saying is since this comes to a point here, I would almost like to come back and do a cut this way with the chamfer. We'd have to be careful on that because that's kind of where the barrel locks up, which would be on the top zone there. But nonetheless, I think it gives us some opportunity to do some things that maybe we haven't done before and some options that maybe we haven't pursued. Just a really interesting design overall. It's one of those things where sometimes when you have something new brought to the table, you're kind of forced to do a new project. In the end, it ends up being one of those, it shows you new things. It progressively gives you new ideas, maybe something you haven't seen before. So so that's really interesting. I just want to show you guys that. So as far as that goes, the rest of this all has to be hand lapped and cleaned and all gone over. We definitely have some logo work to do. We got to do some on the barrel to do. We've changed our idea. We're going to be doing some on the left-hand side here. Originally, all the logo stuff was going to be on the barrel, but since we have such a wide open canvas here, we're going to run part of the logo over here. Of course, we're going to do some color. We're going to bring it back. We're going to talk about it. But guys, I just want to show you that nose. It's really interesting, just the way that those points came out. It's just something different. You don't even get that with what would be the factory slide. So I don't know, just something to take into consideration on future builds, or those guys that watch my videos for the informational side of it. It's just something to take some thought of, or give some thought about, I guess. All right, guys, let's take a look and see exactly how this came out. This ended up being a more difficult design than I had originally anticipated, especially when looking at it on paper. So let's discuss it just a little bit further. Let's talk about those hard times during this build. So first thing we did was went ahead and ran the quarter round all the way around the outside of it to give us that factory image that you would get with a rounded slide. So one of the challenges that I had there was that when you have it in the machine, you have to make sure that the cutter is all the way down on the top and all the way in on the side. If you're off, then what happens is on the side you don't get the radius, or on the top you don't get the radius. If you're too far in or you're too far down, you'll actually have a drag line on the top. So the cutter will actually cut what would be basically like a 1/4-inch strip on the top while it's making that round. So then you're gonna have like an uneven level here. It's also gonna do the same thing on the side. So if you run it in, like in this particular case, if you ran it in too far to the right, what's going to happen is it's going to have a drag line all the way down through the side of there. So it's going to be something that you're not going to want to do. You definitely need to take your time, definitely need to do it right. It was definitely not as easy as it appeared on multiple levels, because it was a different cutter for the top long edges than it was for the nose and the side. So basically these front 3 sides were a different radius than what would be the nose, which is understandable. If you happen to look at a Glock, you'll notice that this is a shorter radius here than what this is here. So you have to have 2 different cutters in order to do it. Obviously, you go through the process 2 different times. And then you come up to the hardship of how do you get rid of these little points that we talked about here earlier. These come in, you know, do you leave them? Do you take them off? How do you go about doing that? What's the blending process in order to actually remove those and actually transitionally get those 3 points to come together? So that was definitely an issue. We also didn't discuss the back section here. When we did that little clip there to show you those points that came together, we also had those on the rear as well as the front, because it was the same angles that came together. So we had to end up blending the rear together as well. I'm very pleased with the way it came out. Once again, it was definitely not as easy as it looks. There was a lot more manual hand labor involved with blending, coloring, you know, priming, looking at it, going back through the process again. There happened to have been a lot of steps there that maybe were skipped on paper when I originally had anticipated doing the build. So, but you learn as you go, right? So that's sometimes what you run into, is that you just got to work your way through those, and you'll know for next time. We cut the optic in the back, which is very typical. You guys have seen that. We cut the new dovetail in the front. Very, very cool. We also had to blend up through there, so it looked real nice. The radius would come up into there like it's supposed to. We went ahead and added the rear serrations to each side because this was a bare slide. I'm really happy with this. This is the same number of serrations, same width as what you would get on the factory, although we ended up going with what would be a slanted design to the rear, so they both slant to the back. very, very pleased with the way that came out. Gives you some nice texture, nice grip. It's the same depth and the same overall size as your factory. It just appears to be longer because it's actually, you know, slanted. So, so it's very traditional on your hands is what you would feel, I guess is the best way to say that. The nose turned out absolutely awesome. The blend work came out very, very great as well. Guys, I'm definitely gonna have some pictures for you on this so you'll be able to see this a little bit better, in better clarity, I should say. It definitely came out really, really nice. Let's drop the barrel in it. Oh, the last thing we did was we ended up doing these serrations on the top. They were definitely challenging because we didn't want to go down into the inside to show a hole. So we were trying to stay away from actually cutting into the inside. We wanted to also stay in that curve, so it ended up being one of those deals where it was not easy to achieve the correct depth with the correct spacing with the smaller Raptor style cut. So we ended up going with a smaller bit. We ended up doing some proportional based spacing, which would be from the front of the nose to where the barrel would lock up. It's just something that came out looking really, really nice overall. I'm very pleased with that. Let's drop the barrel in. We ended up adding the 808, which is the traditional number for Hawaii. That's not a lot of the stuff that's down there. Once again, very, very cool. So this is what it would kind of look like, or so to look like. I'm not sure what's going on with the barrel, whether they're going to take the barrel and have it tin coated or silver coated or just polished. I don't know. I would highly recommend something be done with a barrel unless this is a stainless barrel. I don't know. It was an aftermarket barrel that was sent to me. Sometimes they have a black nitride finish on the outside, but they are still a stainless barrel. So the customer will want to go through the process and see exactly what they want to do with that barrel so it doesn't rust in the event that it's steel. But really, it came out looking really, really nice. I'm very pleased with the way the nose came out. I didn't think it would come out that nice with it being very similar to a factory cut rounded edges, but it does. I mean, it looks really, really nice. Obviously, you can see some nice barrel out through the sides. Definitely a killer look. Now, one of the things I did here was I brought a couple other slides out. I want to educate you guys just a little bit further on the difference between the 19 and the 17 and the 19 LS. This is the first 19 LS I've had to work on so much, in fact, that I mislabeled it, I believe, at the beginning of this video. So it's very easy to mistake it for something else because of the length of the slide itself. So your typical slide, let's start with this one. Your typical slide is your 19. So if you put this side by side on the 19, you're going to see that it's a little bit longer. It's not a whole lot longer. Obviously, we've got that longer lug, right? So it's definitely longer than that. And here's your 17 now. It's the same exact length as the 17 overall. The only difference is since we have that lug on the front, we can actually put it on what would be your 19 frame. So we're actually going to get that longer slide on your traditional shorter based frame, which is your 19. So a lot of people are like, I don't know why you wouldn't just do that on a 17. But the idea behind it is that the 17 is a longer frame. So with this being built this way, it ends up coming out just a little bit nicer overall. It's a unique pattern. It's something that the customer was after. So very, very cool looking. I'm very pleased with the way it came out. So much in fact that I'm kind of thinking about maybe getting a 19 LS slide. It's definitely a different unique than what you would, you know, typically get, because it's not a 19 technically as far as length goes and as far as size goes in your hand, and it's not a 17 because of the frame. So it's definitely a different overall approach to what you're after. So very, very cool. And last but not least, I think we skipped this. We ended up doing the Island logo on the side. Very, very nice as well. That was a special request that they had. I'm not sure whether they're going to color fill it or leave it the way it is. Very pleased with the way that came out overall. This is your graphite black, your H146. Just very pleased with it. So guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you outside. I'm going to somewhat assemble this. I'm going to go ahead and get some pictures of this put together so you guys can see it. And then I want to bring it back and I want to talk to you about something that happened to one of my firearms. It was one of mine, my personal ones. It didn't have anything to do with any of my customer end stuff, but an accident happened, and I kind of want to show you exactly what happened. So let's do that. Let's review some of the pictures. Let's talk about exactly some of the damage that I caused. All right, guys, well, hopefully that was something new that you have not seen before. Now is a good time, while you're reviewing these pictures, to hit the like button. Guys, I'm trying to turn you out new content all the time. Keep it fresh. Not doing the same projects over and over and over again. A lot of those other channels, that's what they do. They do reviews for parts and they just kind of mix and match them. With me, you're usually getting something new every time. And I'm also telling you a little bit about what's going on with me. So I brought this out today. You guys have seen this. I know that this is a popular one. I've done a lot of these for a lot of people. Obviously, if you haven't seen this, go back. There's a build video on several similar models to this with the windows, the knurled, the rear serrations, the optic cut. So there happens to be a lot going on here. And what usually happens is I'll take these out of the safe. I'll take my optics off of them, and then I'll put them onto a firearm that's my customer's, so you guys get to see exactly what it looks like as if you owned it. Like, kind of like as I ship it out to them, you guys get that visual of what you would be receiving back, give you a better appearance of it overall. So the other day I was out here working, and I was actually cleaning a firearm, and I had this one laying here on the table, and I just put the optic back onto it because I was testing it on one of the other ones that I had here. So I just went ahead and put it back on there. Well, I took it, and of course I never have these loaded, right? Because I just take them out of the safe. I don't keep them loaded in my safe. And I put it underneath my arm, and it was kind of like this, and I just kind of had it under my arm, and I was grabbing some boxes that were on the table. And as I moved my arm, it did one of these and hit the floor. And basically it shattered the optic right there. So now the fall was about a 3-foot fall to concrete. I mean, there was literally nothing soft about the optic, the gun, or the concrete. I mean, there was nothing gentle about any of it. But that's not the whole idea behind it. The idea behind it is that I reached out to Vortex. I said, what can we do about it? I mean, I'll buy one if I got to buy one. What do we got to do? We're in the process of having it replaced right now. I have to send it out. So these guys have been exceptionally helpful with the replacement of this on something that was not their fault. There was zero issues of anything with the optic. This was all me here, and they still went out of their way. They said, yeah, send it in, we'll replace it. It's like a 4-day turnaround right now. So I mean, it's quick. So I'm really pleased with that overall. I mean, that's a positive reason to purchase from a company that, one, has a quick turnaround in the event that you had a defective product, and two, they kind of really just didn't care how it was broken. I mean, I think they went to the extent of saying, yeah, we don't really care how you broke it because it's guaranteed on whether you're the first owner or the second owner. It was almost to the point where they were like, yeah, just send it in, we'll just take care of it. I mean, accidents happen. It was really a comfort feeling that, like, I wasn't gonna have to spend $220 to go buy a new one of these. So going forward, a lot of my business is gonna end up being through them. I've never damaged one of these before. It was a pure accident. But really, one of the cool things about it is, and we're gonna turn it on, is that it actually still works. I'm gonna shut this light off here for a second and see if we can get anything better. Yeah, so it's still, and I don't know what kind of focus you guys will actually end up getting because we're a camera through a lens. But the idea here is that even though it's cracked through here, and I know we have some focusing problems, even though it's cracked through here though, we're still having a fully functional optic. It actually held zero from what I could tell. I mean, it wasn't like, it wasn't like the dot was way over here, like way up here. It actually held zero even after taking a hit from, from the table to the floor. It was actually higher than the table because it was under my arm. I measured it from the table as if like we dropped it from the table, but it was underneath my arm. So it ended up being probably a 40-some inch fall. And it really has stood up to my expectations. I definitely would not have anticipated that it would have, one, held zero like that, and two, still functioned. I figured it would have just been like spiderwebbed, or like the red dot would have just kind of like been sort of like all over the place. You guys just won't pick it up when that's on because it's so dark on, or it's so shiny over here on this side. But definitely, it's, guys, I just don't know how to describe it, how to explain it any better than the experience of the replacement of this has been very exceptional. I would definitely, if you're in the market and or on the market looking for something, take into consideration the Vipers, the Venoms. They're both really nice optics, and the warranty is just like bar none. So I mean, these guys are they're there for you. The turnaround time is extremely quick. I wouldn't be telling you all this if I had a bad experience or if it was a 2 or 3 week wait, right? I'm telling you this because I'm encouraging you to purchase from them in the event that you foresee something that could happen. You go to the range, you don't necessarily always carry a bag with you. It's kind of one of those deals where you walk around the woods a lot. You might go up in a tree or a tree stand and drop it out. So these are the reasons why you want to purchase from a company like this. I know Trijicon and I know Leopold probably offer something very similar. I'm just not sure that they'll reply to you within like 2 hours or when I emailed them, and whether they'll tell you that it's a 4-day turnaround. They didn't care about a receipt. They didn't care about where it came from. They were just like, send it in and we're going to get you a new one. So I mean, it was, like I said, I mean, I just can't describe it any better than the warm, fuzzy feeling that they gave me when going through this process on something that was totally my fault, right? So I just wanted to share that with you guys. It kind of turned out being a horror story because I damaged it, but at the end, it turned out being an experience that I had not gone through before, and so far, it's been a very pleasant experience as far as going down that path. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is we have a lot of stuff coming up. a crazy amount of stuff coming up, actually. We have some really big builds. We've got one of the largest lasered pattern builds I have done to date. More hours on the laser than any other gun I've ever done. More hours on the CNC than any other one that I've ever had to do. So we have pretty much maxed out what would be the CNC portion of the time on what we would take to do a regular build, and then we've moved that over to the laser, and we've maxed out the amount of time that it took us to do the laser build. So this is like something that you guys have definitely not seen before. It's coming. It's got a whole new Cobra nose on it. It's just totally different. It's outside the box. This person had a really big vision of what they wanted, what they were after, and we are almost done. We've got like 1 or 2 steps left. So hopefully by the time you guys see this video, it'll be the follow-up one or the one after that. We also have a Ruger that we're doing. So there's a Ruger video that we're going to be turning out here in the next probably week or so. It's almost done as well. And then I know that I have 2 really big Glock Hive builds that are going on, and we might be making some changes to what would be like our status quo standard pattern. So we may end up going through the process of showing that to you guys as well. So we definitely have a lot of big stuff coming up. Oh man, I'm totally forgetting about it. We also have a Beretta that we're going to be doing, a PX4 all laser build. So this is stuff that we've already started. It's already here. We just haven't, got the content all the way finished, so we can't turn that footage all the way out to you. But you guys just have to kind of sit back and relax. I've got a lot of things going on right now that's not firearm related, not NCEngravers related, that's going on in my life right now. I will update you guys on what's going on with that very soon when the time is right. But man, I've just got so many things going on right now. I don't want you guys to skip any of these. Guys, subscribe. Go back and watch some of the old content. If you like the old content, you're going to love the new content because the builds keep getting better, faster, and harder. So it's one of those things where I'm trying to get them turned out as fast as I can. It's more complicated content every time. And it's really exciting because it's stuff that you guys haven't seen before. It's stuff that I haven't done before. So overall, I'm excited about doing these builds. I'm excited about working with these people as individuals that I've never dealt with before. And I'm just excited overall to turn that content out to you. And together, we're going to build this channel into something that we have just never done before. We're over 6,000 subscribers, and we're not stopping there. We're just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. It's kind of crazy, but together with you guys and myself, we're going to do this. I mean, you guys reach out to me and say, hey, I've got a build I want to do. I execute it, and then I show the rest of you guys, and then that generates other people that have ideas. And it's really cool because it gives me the opportunity to work on stuff that I've never even thought of before that you guys have dreamed up. So guys, stay tuned. We have some crazy stuff headed your way, and take care.